Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for our lesson lab all about teaching about discovering states in the upper elementary classroom. I'm so glad you're able to join us. Julia, hi.
Hi there, Tyson. How are you?
I'm doing really great. How are you doing?
Very good. Excited to be here with everyone.
Oh, me too. Well, let's introduce ourselves really quickly so that everyone that's joining us live on YouTube and Facebook knows who we are. I'll go ahead and start. Hi, everybody. I'm Tyson. I work here at Newsela on the marketing team. I'm super excited to talk to you today about upper elementary social studies. Myself, I taught second grade in Kansas City, Missouri.
Awesome. And I'm Julia Bromberg. I am an instructional designer for social studies on the curriculum and instruction team here at Newsela. And I taught high school social studies here in Chicago, Illinois.
Oh, love it. So, Julia, before we get started, I wanted to just talk with you for a moment or two about what do we mean when we say discovering our state? When we talk about these social studies standards, help us unpack those for a little bit.
Absolutely. So I think what's really important to remember is that in a social studies classroom, it's really important to make those connections to things that are relevant and important to the students. So by discovering their state, we're bringing things home for our students. So if you live in New York, and I'm Tyson, I'm going to say that because I see your beautiful view. If you live in New York, by discovering your state, you get to discover New York, its history, its geography, the important people from there, all those things that you really have to know if you live in a specific state. So we get to make those connections for students and get them to realize the importance of being engaged in their own community.
I love it. Do you have any memories of your upper elementary state studies?
I remember studying the monarch butterfly, which is the butterfly of Illinois. So
Wow.
that is my key memory. And we once took a field trip because I'm sure you probably know Illinois is a very flat state, the
Oh,
prairie
yes.
state. We once took a school field trip to like the highest point of Illinois, and we just drove over it on the school bus, and it kind of went like, whoop, which I thought was very exciting until I went to San Francisco and saw what a real hill looked like.
I'm from Nebraska. I know exactly what you mean by
There we go.
that state. We went to go see the Sandhill crane migrations, and we got to dress up like pioneers and go to a one-room schoolhouse for a day in fourth grade and play one-room schoolhouse. Really great memories.
Oh, that is so cool. Okay, I'm going to talk to my elementary school teachers back here and ask them why we never did that.
No kidding, especially the states, the pioneer westward expansion states.
Definitely.
Thanks so much for helping unpack. I think we have so many things that we want to cover today, resources inside of Newsela that are going to help you cover those state lessons if you're teaching an upper elementary state-specific lesson. So the first one that I wanted to highlight, Julia, is one of my favorite things that we have. Now, this is inside of Newsela Social Studies, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so teachers, remember that you might need a Newsela Social Studies license in order to access this. But we wanted to show it off because it's really cool. This is called our Discovering My State collection. And some of you that joined us over the summer might have seen this as well, but I just love talking about it. This is going to be a great opportunity for a teacher to go to their state in particular and just find a wealth of resources to cover history, major people, current events, as well as any other special topics. So, Julia, I'm going to go ahead and go to Illinois, actually, and see what we have.
Amazing.
So tell us a little bit about what a teacher is going to see here in the My State, My Community, Illinois collection.
So if you go to My State, My Community, and I'm very happy we're talking about Illinois, but I'll keep this inclusive for everyone all over the country.
Sure.
You'll find a ton of different articles, like Tyson said, current events, historical articles, key people, anything you really want to teach your students about the state. And it's designed so that students can really immerse themselves in any articles that they find interesting. And the way it's designed, it's a 2-week unit that you can use to kind of guide your students through investigating an issue. And then what's really cool is that students, they can peruse the articles, select for elementary school, maybe 3 articles that they're interested in reading, and then create a passion project. So we're really trying to build that civic engagement component where students see themselves as engaged members of their communities. So there's a wealth of resources in there, lots of brainstorming worksheets, different graphic organizers that students can use. And at the end of all of this, students can create a presentation of their choice. It can be like a poster board. It can be It can be any kind of Google Slides presentation, a Prezi, anything that they're comfortable with using, and kind of teach their classmates about their passion, whatever project they found, whatever topic they found most engaging. And at the end, as students are sharing, you'll realize that you've covered so much content about your state. Everything from maybe like the diversity of the regions to key inventors or universities or anything like that, or major issues. So students can really choose like a social cause that they're interested in, and find out how they can like become involved and support that issue.
What I love about this is like there's no one right way to use this collection. It's a bunch of texts that you can use however you'd like and build whatever kind of project is right for your students, is right for your class. It's all right here. And yeah, it's raw materials that you can use however you'd like.
And it can be as student driven or teacher driven as you want it to be. So you can help your students choose something that they're interested in, or you can totally let them run with it and be like, no, this is what I'm interested in. This is what I want to learn more about.
Yeah. Are there any other maybe special or unique states in this collection that you might want to call out, or like have you worked on any of these that stand out in your memory as like really special?
Well, Illinois. But listen, Tyson, every single state is special. We're not going to call any special state any state out, but there is something for absolutely everyone here.
Fantastic. Okay, I'm going to switch on to the next resource that I wanted to share because I'm really excited about this. You know, when I think of some of these state studies, we think about history. That's like a very common and very every upper elementary school classroom needs to cover state history, but there's also so many ways to get to know your state. And one of those is learning about maps and geography. And sometimes those are the social studies skills that are a little bit deprioritized or like harder to hit home. Tell us a little bit about the Geography of North America collection.
Absolutely, yeah. So with the Geography of North collection, it guides students through kind of the 5 themes of geography for all of North America. So you'll learn about location, place, human environment, interaction, movement, region, and you can really take a deep dive into like everything that makes the geography of North America so unique and how it's impacted the development of all of these regions. And throughout all of this, students really get to practice those geographical skills, those map skills that can be really complicated. Yeah. I know that I was a high school teacher, but even in high school, students found map skills really, really difficult. Really? So this is a great opportunity to start introducing all of those things to your students and to learn what's around them. So you learn about the connection between geography and economics. You learn about natural resources and threats to those natural resources. So there's so many different things that are covered here that are so important for students to learn about.
I love it. And I think back to all of the ways that you can make this learning really interesting for students, like natural resources. There's so many projects and like ways that students can investigate the natural resources in their state or region. And, you know, I always loved finding ways to bring economics learning into, I taught lower elementary, but savings and banks and goods and services and trading. There's so many ways to hit that home for students to start building those skills from a really early age.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. When you're learning about natural resources, like what are people trading? You're bringing economics right into it.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but this is also inside of Newsela Social Studies, correct?
It is, yes, that is correct.
Excellent. Now I'm seeing something here, this unit implementation guide. Can you tell me a little bit about what these resources are on the right-hand side of some of these collections?
Absolutely, yeah. So at the unit level, you'll if you open up the unit implementation guide, you'll be able to see. Perfect. You'll be able to see what the unit objective is. So it's right there. It's front and center. You really understand what this unit was designed to do, as well as what we're calling the recommended instructional pathway. So that's topic by topic. What are you going to find at each stage? So if you're looking for a very specific thing, this is kind of your at a glance way to be able to find like, okay, what do I want to look for to support me like for this unit that I'm teaching? So you can really pick and choose what you need to help you in your classroom.
This reminds me of oh, sorry, go ahead.
I just wanted to mention, then you'll find the C3 framework alignment. So you'll be able to see what standards we aligned this unit to.
This reminds me when I was teaching, and like I would have the teacher's guide for the old textbook that was super outdated. The cover page of every unit was kind of this exact same thing, right? Like
Exactly.
it's an overview for the teacher of what we're going to cover, what we're going to learn, maybe some key vocabulary, and that's really like that at a glance.
Exactly. Think of it as your kind of table of contents for the unit.
I love it. Thank you so much. Okay, I have one more, and then we're going to hear from you, for a couple from you. But the third one that I wanted to cover is, thinking about state history, but also including that pre-colonial narrative. I think a lot of us are really wanting to bring in multiple perspectives, like really rich history of where we are in the region in the United States. And so tell me a little bit about these regional overviews. What are students going to uncover here in this collection?
Absolutely. So it'll start with the geography of each region, the indigenous people of each region, which is so important to cover, like who was there, really go back in time and cover the history. And you get to compare and contrast really all of the different regions. And I think what's so incredible about this is, we started this with talking about zooming into each state, but now we get to zoom out and see like how big America really is and how diverse the people, the land, and everything is. And you get to learn how rich our history is. So, I sometimes people think that, our country's not that old, how much history, but there's so much history, and it's so interesting, and you really get to learn about what makes every single region so unique and so special, and really give students an insight into each specific region of this country.
What I love about this too is that a lot of the resources that teachers might have to teach these lessons in their classroom right now might not include some of these narratives. So this is a really great way to augment the resources that you already have and just like bump up some of that extra historical context that students might need. And it occurred to me just now that we haven't even clicked inside of a particular
text.
So let's do that. I think we're both from the Great Plains, so let's go ahead and explore some of the Native American cultures of the Great Plains. Just a quick highlight of some of the things that you're going to see here on this Newsela text. I'm sure teachers that are logging in already know this, but almost every Newsela text is going to come at multiple lexile levels. So you can toggle this directly for students if they need a little bit more scaffolding or support. Or of course, if you assign this article through Newsela, it's going to deliver this text to students at their just right reading level. So you don't even have to do a whole lot of tooling or differentiating manually. A lot of texts in Newsela are also available in Spanish. Now, when I click this, it's going to completely translate the entire text for students that might be exploring a second language or a third or an additional language. But this also might help students tackle some vocabulary words in Spanish, let's say, or just learning a little bit more about their region. Going to switch back to English here and also highlight, well, literally, these Newsela annotations. So as students are engaging with this text, they can, of course, highlight, find main ideas. There's so many different ways that teachers can find ways to use annotations in the classroom to make sure that students are reading the text really closely. Julia, is there anything else about the text that you would want to point out before we move on?
I would just say it's really helpful for especially for elementary level students, the way that the text is kind of broken up into different sections. One thing that I really like to do is, obviously there, it's a great way to have students collaborate, is assign divide students into groups and assign each person their own section, and at the end do a little bit of a jigsaw activity where, if I read about how horses changed culture, and Tyson read about hunting buffalo. At the end, we can kind of come back together and become expert teachers ourselves. So it's really a way to, if you're a little bit limited on time, or you want to just keep things moving along, it's a great way to have students collaborate and read an article together and kind of take some ownership in the classroom. So I have to be an expert on how horses change culture, and Tyson has to know everything there is to know about buffalo. And at the end, we're going to help each other learn. So it's really helpful to kind of break the text up if you wanna maybe have students work together in that way.
I love that idea. And that even has me think, in my class, I would love for students to interact with the text multiple times. So reading a small chunk, coming together and talking about it, then students might be able to read the entire article and then complete some of the Newsela activities. So remember, every Newsela text has a write prompt where students can kind of interact with the text and find evidence and explore some of those close reading skills, as well as a quiz that really hones in on that reading comprehension to make sure that they were actually reading the text and can find evidence that. And I'm not sure, I don't see any power words here, but some Newsela texts do have some vocabulary embedded if your school has access to Newsela ELA. All righty, well, those were the three that I wanted to cover, Julia. Let's switch it over to your screen and take it away. What do you have to share with teachers?
Awesome, thank you so much. I am so excited to share a snapshot of the Review Key Concepts and Skills collection that we have available on Newsela Social Studies. So this is something that you would need a social studies subscription to see, but I just wanted to show some of the really cool things that we have here. So what I wanted us to take a look at is social studies skills core knowledge. So you can use this to refresh, review, or introduce key skills that are used by historians, social scientists, geographers, economists, and also real world applications. So you'll see here, we have key skills designating time periods. So helping students understand chronology, interpreting models, discerning between real and fake news and understanding bias, evaluating different types of sources, identifying issues. And what I wanted us to take a look at was key skills take action. So what you can see here is it says, use these texts to identify and analyze different ways you can become civically active, even if you can't vote, which of course our younger students cannot. And what's really important about this is we were talking earlier, like when we were talking about discovering my state, like we're really teaching students to become active and engaged members of their community, and bringing home the lesson that you can do that at any age. You can make a difference at any age. So there's different articles that students can read, like what is activism? How do you plan a big project to provide tips for getting started? How do you reach out to your state or local representatives? So on and so forth, as well as lots of current event articles about students who really have taken action. So something to inspire our students, with lemonade stands and bakeries, and how companies cut down on millions of plastic straws because a Girl Scout wrote a letter. So really to drive home the lesson that we can all affect change, no matter who we are or where we live.
I love this. We so often we think of civic engagement as a high school activity or something that only older students are able to do. Absolutely not. Bring in those elementary students, get them talking about these things and get them to develop pride in their community and invested in making their community a better place. Civic engagement is for elementary school too.
Absolutely, and it's such an important way for students to begin to understand what are the key issues in their community, and what are the issues that they're passionate about. Really at a young age, teach them to understand what's important to them, what's important in the world around them, and next step of that, how can they become a part of affecting change. On the right hand side, you'll see a fully developed lesson guide. And of course, it's very, very detailed. There's vocabulary that you might want to introduce students to, and this can absolutely be modified as you see fit in your classroom. So if there's certain things that you don't feel like your students need to know, you're the one in the room. You can absolutely decide what you need. But there's a ton of supports, and it's really scaffolded in a way to build students up to what we're doing, to what they're doing at the end, where if we keep moving, we're covering key ideas like how can you be civically active, what are national issues you would like to see change. We're really making this about the students. There's no wrong answer, right? It's totally what's important to each student. And then at the end, a passion project. We're very passionate here about getting our students engaged. So students get to again use Newsela to find issues they're interested in, and then find out what can you do, who can you support, how can you learn more, and how can you spread the word about what is important to you here.
Julia, In case teachers haven't seen these before, tell us who writes all of these lesson plans and all of these lesson sparks and all of these foundations. Like, where does this all come from?
Thank you so much for asking. This comes straight from comes straight from the hearts of my team. So the social studies curriculum and instruction team are the ones who write these lessons. And we really we really work hard to make sure that we're providing our teachers with so much support. And you'll think these are hefty lessons. And the reason we're doing that is like, listen, I would love to think that every single lesson that I've ever written for Newsela is taught like exactly how I envisioned it, but I was a teacher. So I realized that like there is nothing like number one requirement for a teacher is to be flexible and to be adaptable. So we give you a lot to work with so you could figure out like what do you actually need for your classroom. So you look at this and you're like, okay, I love it. I'm going to teach the whole thing. First of all, thank you. But more realistically, you'll be like, okay, I have obviously a limited amount of time in which to do this.
Right.
So I'm going to pick out these 3 elements and that's what I'm going to focus on. But you'll be able to read the entire lesson and see how we set it up to support the students through it.
I love that this is made to be adaptable, right? Like
absolutely,
strip away things that you don't have time for, add things that your students love that we haven't included here. This is just a recommendation. Adapt it the way that you would your grandma's favorite cookie recipe. Like if you want to add coconut, go ahead and add coconut. That's how we should think about these lesson sparks. Like it's a really great suggestion to start with, but by no means is it like a decree.
I will not know if you taught it the way it was written. So follow your heart.
Now, Julia, a lot of the stuff that we've been covering today requires a Newsela Social Studies license. If a teacher doesn't have access to Newsela Social Studies, or maybe even Newsela Essentials, where they're using Newsela with the free license, just give us a couple pieces of advice for how they can do some stuff similar to what we're seeing here, but on their own.
Absolutely, and that. Honestly, an amazing segue into the next thing that I wanted to share. So thank you so much. So we'll cover this a little bit more later, but the Newsela community is a hopping and active platform that I recommend everybody get involved in. But one thing that is one of my favorite parts about the community is the fact that so many teachers share amazing resources. So where I am right now, I want to ground us in where we are. So this is the social studies homepage on Newsela. So you'll see all of our featured content. But let's scroll down to text sets by teachers. Absolutely everyone has access to text sets by teachers, and
even teachers with the free license.
Even teachers with the free license, yes. And I will show what that looks like for teachers with a free license. Let's go over here. I have logged myself in to a free account. So what you're seing here is absolutely the same thing that all free users will see. And you could see, teacher, like our Newsela teachers wrote this, and listen, I copied and pasted. I gave credit, but I copied and pasted. So if we click on a lesson right here, so we have a lesson that was written by Penny. So you can see that this is designed by Penny. And thank you so much, Penny. Adapted by Newsela staff. You could see like where in the community she wrote this. You can explore the community further, but we have everything like what will students learn, what should they keep in mind. There's instructions, and then all of these articles that we see here, free users will be able to see. And this is if I'm over here, I think one of the main differences is, so I was in with rights and responsibilities. There's 4 articles right here. Teachers with a Newsela subscription will see more articles, right? So you could see here that if I click on the exact same thing, all of the instructions are the same. Again, still thanks, Penny. You'll just have more articles to choose from as you do the lesson. But the way that the instructions are written is that you can absolutely, all the instructions are written so that all free users can still use it, and then you can modify it. So I'm saying these 2 articles everyone can read, and then select one additional article if you so choose. And the main difference here is that if you have a subscription, you'll just have more articles for your students to choose, whereas here there's just the 4 articles. Still amazing, still absolutely fantastic lesson by Penny. Here there's just a little bit more to play with.
I love that we're showing up for our free teachers and saying, even if your school can't afford a license or it's not going to work out right now, we've got you. We're going to give you more than just comes with the free license. We're going to give you some of those instructional sets as well. If we switch over to my screen, I would love to show where some of these lessons came from. So if you have clicked on the Newsela community link that is in the chat, you will have been taken here. So the Newsela community has, I think we crossed 90,000 educators around the world, mostly in the US. I know, it's amazing. Teachers that have joined this community to share their Newsela resources, to ask questions, to give inspiration, or even just to chat. So what I would recommend, if you want to explore a little bit more of those tech sets that haven't been on the site, but are still, teachers just innovating like crazy, you're going to go to the community and you're going to click up here at the social studies group. Now, if you're not a member of this group yet, you'll need to join the group. There'll be a little orange bar down here at the bottom. Any teacher that has a Newsela license, whether it's a free license or a paid license, is going to have access to the community. Click up here on shared lessons, and you're going to find hundreds, and I'm not even kidding you, hundreds of lessons that teachers have shared in the social studies domain across states, across grade levels, across subject areas, and across standards. So this is really a treasure trove of ideas and inspiration that teachers in elementary social studies classrooms can look at to try to get a little bit of innovation in their classroom.
Tyson is not kidding. Literally so many creative ideas. I have learned so much from the teachers who shared their lessons here. And it's such a great way to get inspiration. And you'll see, if you're a fifth grade teacher, it's very likely that other fifth grade teachers are teaching similar things to you at the same time. So it's just such a great place to go and see who else is doing what with similar units.
Yeah, well, here's another little pro tip. If you hit the tags button in the social studies group in particular, you can find fifth grade lessons, sixth grade lessons, middle school lessons, lessons about Native Americans, tech sets, government lessons. Thanks to the teachers that have been tagging these lessons, it's so easy to find these. So absolutely, teachers, regardless of what Newsela access you have, explore the community and find some inspiration, and give the teachers a shout out. They've really gone above and beyond by sharing these lessons, and give them a thumbs up and then share your own so that you can spread the love. Alrighty, I am gonna see if we have any questions. I know we have a couple minutes left, and I want to make sure that if there are any questions on either Facebook or YouTube, that we have a chance to check those out. So if you have any questions for Julia or I before we head out for the night, go ahead and chat them in, and we'll talk.
Tyson, while we wait for questions, I just want to say your view right now is just. Oh, it's giving me life. Honestly, look at that.
I know, it's a really great day to talk about social studies when the Empire State Building is red, white, and blue.
I feel so patriotic right now.
That worked out really well.
I know. Yeah, we paid for that. Newsela, we talk to people.
I know. Yeah, I'm so thankful that we have a really incredible view from our office, and I just love coming to work every day.
Yeah, especially on days like today when you've been there for so long.
I know. Yeah. Oh, I have to go vote, actually. Polls are still open for another couple hours, so that's going to be my day.
An important part of being a member of a civic
Absolutely.
Society. There you go. There we go. We're coming.
It actually worked out really well that we had this on election day.
I know.
Alrighty, well, I'm not seeing any chats come through, so that tells me that you and I did a really great job covering things very, very thoroughly. If anybody's still watching, the links to the community resource are in the chat. Or if you're coming across this video after the live stream, go ahead and look in the chat. That'll link you to the community resource that has every single link that we covered today, as well as a little bit of a walkthrough. So that'll stay persistent, and you can have access to all those resources. Julia, I want to thank you so much for taking your time out of your day to talk social studies with us.
I'm happy to talk social studies anytime, and thank you so much for the teachers who joined us. And we hope to see you on the Newsela community sharing some of your lessons, and then so that I can publish them on the site. Really looking forward to seeing that.
Awesome. All right, thanks again, Julia.
Thank you, guys.